A bouncy ball? I know, it sounds totally crazy, but there is so much you can do with this little childhood toy that's gonna make your feet and body feel super yummy and happy, especially after you've gone for a long run, did a hard workout, or just lived the activities of daily life. Hey guys, I'm Summer, and I'm stoked to bring you this video today that's going to give you some quick tips and tricks of how to use that bouncy ball to make your body feel great. So all you need to do is grab a bouncy ball, maybe you want a mat, and let's move. We're going to do this series seated. You can sit on the floor like I am, or if you're at a table or something, as long as you have a solid surface that you're going to be able to press into, that's what matters for this. Also, if you're like me and you're wearing a watch, go ahead and take that off so it is not in the way for this experience. Sit really tall, and you're going to bring your hands together in front of you. Press down and up. So today we're going to really work on finding some movement into our wrist, and a lot of that's going to be revolved around how we release tension in our hands and our forearms. So right now, just notice, how are your hands moving? How are your wrists feeling this? Don't judge it, just be aware. Let's keep the next one open and try to get your hands as parallel to the ground as possible with this movement. Then you're going to bring your hands and you're going to make a little circle so your wrists stay glued together all around. So like you've got magnets on your wrist and they cannot unattach from each other. Otherwise you're going to fly all over the place, right? Theoretically. Go the other direction. And notice, do you have one that wants to circle more or less than the other? Let's take our hands forward, and like you are making this big fist, you've got lots of anger that you are pent up, and then you are just going to take a big deep exhale and throw all that tension away. I call these my glitter hands, and I want you to think like you're holding some glitter and then you're spreading that happiness and joy all around. Because oftentimes we hold tension, and I don't like thinking about that. I like thinking of happy glitter. Let's hold the next one open. Feel the spread between your fingers. Try to get as much as you can, and then tap your pinky and your thumb. And then all the way up. So you're going thumb to each finger. And again, don't judge, just acknowledge how each hand feels. And see if you can get some speed with it. I have to start thinking about that a lot more. Good, release your hands. Just make little movement with all the fingers. Do whatever kind of feels good. Maybe circle your wrist. You're going to bring your hands together and clasp them now. You're going to lift your right elbow up. So I'm going to mirror you for this. So it's your right elbow. Your wrists are going to bend, and then you're going to just wave your hands. And now your left arm is lifted. And I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want to over-cue it, because if you overthink it, it becomes awkward. But we're just trying to make this wave with our arms, and it's really about getting the movement with our wrist right here. Okay? Change the lead side. You might think it's the same move, but it feels different starting with another lead side sometimes. Good, breathe and shake that out. Now you're going to take your big finger, or your big finger, also known as your thumb, and your pinky together, and you're going to just shake. And then do that third, fourth. All right, now you're going to bend your middle fingers in, so you've got this hang 10 position, and shake. And you're going to shake for about 30 seconds. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel like I do not want to be doing this, right? but keep shaking. We're trying to get blood to flow into our arms, and you might start to feel a little bit tingly. Keep going with it. You can do it. 3, 2, and 1. Circle that out. All right, so that was just a little bit of blood flow getting into our wrists and our hands. Now we're gonna grab Bouncy Ball, okay? Find a comfortable seated position for you. I'm gonna do this with my bigger Bouncy Ball. I've got 2 sizes. You might only have one and use whatever it is that you have. I'm gonna use my bigger one for right now. And you're taking it into the palm of your hand and just making a circle, but on the mat or on the table or whatever's in front of you, okay? Just make circles around. And if you do the foot bouncy ball experience here on the channel, you're gonna notice some similarities between what we do, right? It's just a different part of our body, but there's a lot of similarities between our feet and our hands. There's a lot of muscles, joints, and ligaments in a small space. They get used a lot. We forget about them a lot. All right, now you're gonna make really big circles that are slow. And try to hit every single corner. Let's switch hands. Okay? So just fast circles going around. You might notice the hand that you just did that with might be a little tingly, and sometimes that's that blood flow coming into your hand. So I have a really bad thing where this hand, my left hand will go numb on me. And over the years, I've been really worried about it. It's gone on for like 10, 15 years now. I mean, it's not a new thing. And I've been in and out of physical therapy with it. And what we've pretty much concluded, it's when I get really tight into my hands, my forearms, and up into my bicep even, and my chest, it just starts to restrict some of those. I don't want to go too much, but I get some nerve entrapment. I get some stuff going on. But anyway, let's make a big one. Sometimes it just takes doing something like this. Like I'll find myself when I am having a lot of that tingly of just doing something like this. Sometimes even subconsciously I found myself doing it. All right, release that. You're gonna take the ball, and this is one where if I was at a table, it would be a little bit easier for me, but I do what I got. So you're gonna take your forearm, and we're gonna start on the top side. So the one that is on the top, if you were to be here, okay? You're gonna roll up and down. It's an interesting thing to think about, the top and bottom of your arm, because in what we call anatomical position, this is how it is. So this is really considered the top or the front, and this is the back. But for most of us, when we are talking about our arm, we talk about this as being the top, right? So sometimes one of those things that I'm like, I want to make sure I say that in a way that people who are science-y and go on that make sense. So right now you're going up and down your arm. Notice if you just have any tightness in it. And let's switch over to the other side. The more weight you put onto it, the more weight of like your own body weight leaning into it, the deeper and more intense it's gonna be. But don't do so much that's like you're crying in pain, right? Let's switch sides. Just kind of give a shake, give anything that you need, and we will switch on to the other side. So again, we'll start here on the top of the arm, and let's go up and down. I think it's fun to get to use just a small child toy, like a bouncy ball. You can find these in gumball machines for like a quarter, maybe 50 cents these days, right? But it's not an expensive piece of equipment that can make our bodies feel so great. And I think that sometimes we feel like we have to buy the newest, shiniest piece of exercise equipment, but the reality is we don't. we can get away with some pretty cheap, inexpensive things, or even just our own body weight. And there is another video on the channel here, switch to the other side, that is another hands and wrist that's using just your hands and wrist. Like, you don't use anything to feel some release into it. So check that out if you want. But right now we're playing with bouncy balls. All right, release that. You're gonna take your left hand onto your right arm, and I want you to just make circles up and down. What was that thing we did as kids? It was like really awful. Oh my gosh, I was born in the 80s, so I'm a kid in the 90s, right? And it was like this really awful thing that we did to other kids. Something like this. Don't do that. Switch to the other side. Don't give yourself a burn. I can't remember what it was called. But anyway. So you're just kind of getting some movement into that, getting just deep or very shallow, superficial movement. Let's circle our wrist again. Grab, if you have a smaller bouncy ball, grab that one. We're gonna take it into our hands, and now we're just gonna run along this pad of our hands right here. We're gonna go side to side. Just give it some speed that you're doing that with. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. We're not spending a ton of time in our hands and forearms, but even just a little bit's gonna make us feel so much better, because we've only got 2 more things that we're gonna do. I wanted this video to be pretty short and fun for you to do something quick. All right, take your hand and place the ball in between that second and third finger. And you're just gonna try to pick it up and put it down, and then go to the other one. We did this with the feet too. It's about kind of monkey dexterity. Let's go back. I have trouble with this third and fourth. I also can't do the like Spock hands or whatever that is. All right, let's go to the other hand. What is that? Is it Spock? I think it is. Whatever that, I don't know. I'm not a Star Trek. I'm pretty sure it's Star Trek. Okay, so totally correct me. Send me a message on social and tell me what it is that I'm trying to talk about, because I know that someone out there knows that weird hand. This thing. There it is. That's what it is. I can't do it. My dad could do it, I think. All right, you're going to take the ball in between 2 fingers. All right, now I just am, like, making fun of myself in my own brain. All right, slide down. Go back up. That's what life is. It's about making fun of yourself sometimes. Release. All right, push the bouncy balls off to the side. The very last thing that we are going to do, I want you on all 4s, and your palm or your hands are under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. And you're just going to shift your weight back and forth. And then you bring it so that your weight is over your wrist and back. If you are enjoying our playlist today, because I know I'm rocking out to it, it is from a company called Epidemic Sound. They are awesome. It is a royalty-free music, so for any of my fitness friends out there who need something like that, here it is. But we're listening to their indie station, so it's a lot of like new artists who are trying to make it out there, and I just think their music is phenomenal. It's a super cheap monthly subscription. Highly recommend it. I'm getting nothing from it telling you right now. I just like sharing things that I enjoy. All right, you're gonna take your hands now so that your fingers are facing in and your thumbs are out to the side, and you're gonna make that same movement. Maybe you make a little bit more circles. There is a link in the bottom of this video if you want to check it out. Again, just sharing. I like sharing things I like. And notice how your wrist might feel tightness in this, right? Just notice where it's at. For me, I get really tight about right here, and my palm on my right hand wants to lift up because I'm tight there. All right, take your fingers out to the sides, and you're gonna shift side to side. Maybe your elbows bend, kind of whatever feels good for you. Let me see what this nice shift side to side. And release. Let's take and just sit up, circle your wrist, just like we began. So really great things you can do. Just use that ball to circle into your hands, into your forearms, and give yourself that relaxation that you need to on a daily basis. Don't forget about the other classes here on the channel that will help you get some tension release through your body. Until then, guys, I'm Summer. Bye.